In this video, I'm going to share one secret idea to stop your students from leaving. And some tuition centers are already doing it. It's just not that obvious. So you might be doing group tuition and classes, and your dream is that all of your students understand you and understand your lessons, and no students leave. And that is where you know that the reality is some students are not a good fit. And sometimes they leave, and once they leave, that means your revenue goes down, which is not what you want. So I actually have a way to save the day that rhymes. So how you might be thinking, because it's like, okay, if a student leave, how am I going to get them back? So the answer is hire freelance tutors. You might be thinking, how does that look like? Well, let me show you. So if a students don't think that the group class is for them, and you're just the only solo tutor, or maybe you have a small team, then one thing that you can think about is to actually offer one-on-one, because that means they have a higher chance on not leaving from your tuition. You are still earning revenue from them, but maybe on a different service. So right now you are teaching in a group class, which is one service, and your one-on-ones are also another service. And you might be thinking, okay, I'll just hire one freelance tutor. No, don't hire one freelance tutors. Hire a pool of freelancers. In business, we call it to reduce key man risk. What do you mean by that? So this is where later on I will share a bit. And the best part is that if you were to be sick, because you don't know when you will be sick, and it will happen suddenly, and that is what I've seen many tutors have gone through, which they were sick, and then in a way they have to tell the students and parents, say, hey, I'm sick, I'm going to cancel the class, maybe I'll refund you some of the monies, which is not what you want. You don't want money living out from the business, and at the same time it disrupts the normal classes schedule, and this gives a bad taste. Sometimes the parents are understanding, some are not, and that's when they might leave. So these kind of things is something that you should always prevent as much as possible. And what if, touch wood, that you actually have something that is longer term, sickness that you can't control, that actually affects you for a few months, maybe sometimes it goes to years, and you still want to run the business. How do you do that, right? This is where process and systems are all about. And what if you want to take a break because sometimes you're burnt out, which happens? And this is where, with the pool of freelancers, you can have someone quickly jump and take over you. And this is where there is a difference between a scalable and running business versus a business that is solely reliant on you, which is one tutor. And sometimes even you have a bunch of tutors, then you don't have backups to actually take over the tutors, and that gives a bad impression later on. So this is where you can say, all right, you can start creating a pool of freelancers, and this reduces the key man risk. So to just explain what that means is that if you were to have something going on in your life which happens, then you can have someone to take over. So the risk of the key man, yourself or another tutor that's very, very important, can actually have a backup to take over you quickly. So then this is where you slowly go from a solo tutor to managing freelancers. And the thing is that, yes, you might be thinking, yes, I've interviewed a lot of people, and a lot of times they are not very good at the curriculum, the subjects, right? That kind of thing. So maybe they have the attitude. They already have, given you some, sense that, okay, they are a good person, but it's just that they're not very good in the curriculum side of things. And the thing is that if that was the case, the biggest tuition center you can think about is like, Learning Lab and other tuition centers out there. How do they able to get in people, right? So the thing is that they're able to attract because of brand, right? They're able to hire, they're able to train. I don't know if you know, but if you were to go to bigger companies, they actually have time or even a whole department for training, because they know that a lot of people who joins a company might not be able to do the work because they lack of knowledge. And why is it so different from your tuition center? right? So that's the thing that I think a lot of people have a hard time trusting. Like, can I train someone to actually be good or better than me? Well, if the tuition centers that manage to scale is still doing well, there's a chance that it is very doable. I've done it before, right? I have, in a way, hired and also, in a way, trained my previous instructors to actually do the classes for me. And then what I need to do is to manage whether the lessons are good from the feedback from the students, and also at the same time manage the other freelancers to see whether they can help me improve the curriculum by listening to their suggestions, because all of these are building and assets towards your business so that you can scale business without you in the picture. And last part is that since you are a solo tutor, or sometimes you might have a tutor that you are reliant on, then you have a certain amount of capacity of potential earnings. But if you have a pool of freelancers, you literally expand the number of students you can take in, and this increases you as a business owner to increase your potential earnings and also revenue. So the difference between someone who actually is in the seven figures and in the six figures is generally hiring. Because in the tuition space, you can't have multiple clones yet, but you can have people to teach for you. You open up to a lot more students coming in, and you can provide more things for them, more subjects for the students as well. Alright, so that's about it. If you like this video, give it a thumbs up. And if you want more of this kind of videos, subscribe down below and comment down what is one thing that you're gonna do later on. If you're interested in terms of how to hire your first tutor, whether it is part-time, freelance, or even full-time, I have a video that you can go into my channel and see about it. So with that said, see you in the next one. Bye bye.